Hey, 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 everybody. It is time for another episode of Asking Agents. Yes. Y'all will have to excuse me today. I do have on my glasses. The allergies have been wreaking havoc. You could probably still see they're kind of pink under there. And so they've just been wreaking havoc on my on my eyes. So I've got the glasses on today. I hope you all don't mind. But I just wanted to welcome everybody to the live tonight. I have a very, very special guest, and I'm super, super excited about this guest because, Hunty, let me tell you, we've got some tidbits and we've got some exciting things in store for you. I'm going to go ahead and send her an invite so we can add her to the live. And it says that we are adding her. Yes! Welcome! Welcome! I am super excited to have you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited that we've got the Jacqueline F. Currie on the live with us tonight. I'm super excited. We go way back like 2 years, but way back like
All
we
the
grew
way
up
back
together.
there.
That part. So, and you know, Jackie is a life savior when it comes to people, in my opinion, of course. And I asked Jackie to do this live with me. Is it okay that I call you Jackie on the live?
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. So I asked Jackie to do this live with me because I, as a real estate agent, encounter this a lot with my clients, and that's feelings of anxiety, feelings of frustration, people literally feeling stressed out. People will just haphazardly make comments like, oh my God, I'm just not going to make it. If anything else happens during this process, I'm just going to give up. And I always try to encourage them. Sometimes I have a word of prayer for them. But you know what? I said, Jackie, we need to talk about this because this is a different time in the real estate industry. Back in the day, you could look at a house one day and literally take 2 weeks to decide on it.
Yeah.
You just can't do that. You can barely take 2 hours to decide. And so I asked Jackie to come on. But Jackie, before we jump into what this live is about, I want you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself. And let us know how you got here.
Okay. So obviously I've never tuned into that part of your your segment. I have always missed that, so I did not know that. But what can I say? I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor. I've been doing this since 2013. I got my undergrad degree, a bachelor's in psychology in 2004. I went to grad school, graduated in 2007. So I've been doing this a very long time. I love what I do. I'm from Chicago, a place that didn't really allow me to do this in the way that I've been able to do it here in Charlotte. I never saw myself being able to do this on this level in a big city. I just didn't. Not saying that I wouldn't have been able to, but I just saw it happening differently living in the South. And I like the network. I like counseling. I have started using media as an avenue to share my expertise in the past 2 years. I did a radio show / podcast with a professional counterpart of mine. And then I kind of moved into TV, where Nicole has been very supportive in my career as a media analyst. And a mental health expert for a couple different stations here in Charlotte. So I'm just excited to be able to bring my voice across in a way that's going to impact some other people, especially those of color.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I do want to, again, thank you publicly for joining us on the platform. But Jackie, I really want to just kind of dive in and understand everybody who's watching the live does not work if you all don't ask us questions, okay? So it is called Ask an Agent, and I've got Jackie on here to kind of help with those questions, because what I tend to run into, Jackie, is that because this is the war of offers, meaning I see a house today, and by the time I get home, it already has multiple offers. Or as soon as I open up the email with my agent sending to me, she's saying, and by the way, highest and best offer is due by such and such time. And I feel out of control. I don't know what to do. How do I know they're going to take my offer? And all these thoughts begin to run through their heads. What is something that they could do to kind of calm that down a little bit?
Okay, so I'm going to give you some general information that, any realtors watching also should be using with their clients. I know that, randomly here and there, you're always telling me how you have to appease people's anxiety and help them through that process. But the reality, what people need to understand is that there are some things they have control over and that we have control over from day to day. And there are other things that we don't. When I'm working with my clients, I'm constantly reminding them to look at what parts of the situation they absolutely know they have no control over. And they have to accept that first for them to be able to handle their anxiety. If you're telling someone something and they're not coming from a place of receiving it, it really doesn't matter how many times you're telling them. They have to be able to acknowledge there are certain parts of this that I can control. What is that? If you like this house, you need to let me know in the next couple hours when you get home, whether you like the house or not, enough to put in an offer. And if you would like to put in an offer, you and your husband or you and whoever, or you and yourself need to know what the number is. I need to know that, because the reality is by the time you get it to me, someone else could have put in a better offer, and then it's out of my control.
Absolutely. It's out of our control. And I think that that's the main thing that we as agents maybe could do a better job of getting across to our clients, that it is out of our control. Yes, we are negotiation experts. Yes, we are giving you advice on what you could go in and the best possible strategy for putting your offer together. But literally, once it is submitted, it is out of our control. And there's nothing that we can do to make it more in our control.
I think it's harder for you all too, because we're in a day and age where there are 50 real estate shows on television, okay? And all people see is the fantasy that is projected on TV, which is you tell them the amount, you get the house within not 30 days or not within 2 weeks, but within the hour of the program, you have the house. And then you move in the house in the same hour. And so
Right.
I don't think people, listen, it sounds dumb, right? But this is, and I hate to use that word, it does sound dumb in theory, but some people conceptualize, they're not
Right.
thinking through that when they are now approaching the fantasy that they have in their head of, I saw this house, I like it, I want to buy it. And then they're not thinking about the fact that I could lose it if I'm not acting proactively. I will say that, I moved in my house almost 2 years ago. The day that I visited this house, I had only seen 12 other houses in a week period of time, only 12, because some people see like 40, but I saw 12 houses. I knew exactly what I was willing to compromise on, what I was not willing to compromise on, and that gave me peace of mind, because I knew when I found the right place, all I would have to do is tell the realtor. And I'm gonna tell you, when I came to this house and the realtor was here and he greeted me, I literally pulled him aside and said, listen, this is my house, I need this house. So I'm gonna have somebody call you today. It was a Sunday. Thank God my realtor, responded to me on a Sunday. I said, look, I need it. I gotta have it. So tell me what I need to do to get it. I will do what you say. And really, I think that would be the ideal situation. I will do what you say to get this.
Oh, if it were just that easy.
I know, but I'm trying to project.
Yeah. Exactly. 2 years ago, yeah. You could do things like that. I would call the other agent and I would say, hey, look, just me and you. What does my buyer need to do? Okay.
Yeah.
Look, we will structure our offer for the seller. What does the seller want? And although the agent really can't say what they want, they may say some clues like, well, they want a quick closing, or they may say some clues like they want a high due diligence. They may say some clues like, we've already had the house inspected, so we're not expecting you all to come back with a whole lot of repair requests. But even now they don't do that. I teach my clients now to even write letters
to the sellers. And last week I was out with a client. The client liked the house. I get back to the house. I pull up the info, and in big bold letters, it says, "Do not bother sending us letters. We will not give them to the seller."
Yeah, I wrote a letter. I wrote a letter, and my agent said, "They love your letter. They want to give you the house." I said, "Whoop." That's how it happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
The letters work. I have a young lady that closed recently, and they told us point blank, you were not the highest offer. It was your letter. And so I encourage that. Other agents who aren't having their buyers do that, encourage your buyers to do that. You want to put every best possible foot forward. And if writing a letter helps you do that, then do that. And,
Yeah.
and let me tell you something. Don't have them type up the letter.
Oh, I hand wrote it.
Hand write it. Address it to the seller, okay? So that the seller doesn't think, oh, this is just another letter that you've been giving to everybody, hoping they'll choose you for their house.
Yep. That's really funny because I came in, I told my realtor I didn't want to do the back and forth and I didn't want to lose this house. So I came in at asking, and I came in with a letter at asking, basically telling them how the house was shaped to fit the lifestyle of me and my child. And they read that, and I remember my realtor called me and said, they were moved to tears. I said, oh, good. That's exactly what I wanted. But, you know, I also want to go back to your question about people being highly anxious and being concerned about basically things that they can't control. Anxiety is driven by other things, whether that's fear, concerns, worry, whatever it is. And I would encourage you to remind your buyers that the only difference between the physical manifestation of anxiety and excitement is the physical, what you tell yourself, and then what your body does. So your brain has to be doing something, and then your body does what the brain tells it. Excitement and anxiety have the same physical manifestation. So in reality, there is no difference. You can get headaches when you're excited or when you're anxious. You can get nauseous with both. Okay. You can have sweaty palms with both. You literally have to stop yourself at some point and tell yourself, you know what? I'm excited about this process. I'm very excited. I'm not anxious and worried about what's going to happen. And then you can say that. You can correct them and say, no, you're excited. Like, you're excited, and then you're concerned about what you can't control, but you're more so excited.
Right, exactly.
The excitement and the adrenaline rush of the process adds to, I mean, that can bring about headaches and the physical symptoms that people experience.
Wow. And see, that's good to know, because when I tell you, literally, they'll be biting their nails, waiting to hear back. And I'm just like, breathe. You know, what's some other tips?
We also have to tell people, Nicole, that if they go home and they wait and they don't get the house, that's not their house. There's another house for them out here, and it will be their house. Nothing that is yours will ever fall into someone else's lap. Nothing that is yours. And that's a mental thing also. You literally have to process that with every aspect of everything you do and engage in your life, really. Whether that's relationship, buying a house, getting a job. You know, how often do you hear somebody say, that was my job? Like, was it your job? But is it your job? Did they hire you? If the answer is no, that's a tough argument. And whether people want to hear it or not, or whether it's politically correct for realtors to say that, I mean, I prefer honesty. So the reality is, hey, we might not have, put our cards on the table as quickly as we should have, or as correctly as we could have. And so this might not be your house. And if it's not, we're going to keep going until we get in your house.
Exactly. And Jackie is saying that, people, but I also want you all to understand, faith without works is dead. So you can't decide, okay, that you're not going to put the offer in, and then miraculously this house is going to be yours. You still
Do you
gotta
hear
do
that?
something.
Do people say that? Do people say, "Oh, we'll do it late. Like, I'll get with you tomorrow about this," and then their house is gone? Oh, that is ridiculous. I told you I don't like the word dumb, so we're not going to say that. But we will say it's not the smartest decision. Okay.
Waiting is not in your favor. It's absolutely not. That's my English accent. Not. It's not in your favor
Yeah.
to wait.
Yeah.
You have to move
With decisiveness.
that part.
Yeah.
With
Gotta be decisive.
decisiveness. And unfortunately, you don't have a whole lot of time to get to that decisiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A lot of sellers, this is a way you can help people get to that decisiveness a little bit faster. Sellers, put your best foot forward with your house. Make sure the pictures look excellent, okay? Make sure it's what we call model home ready, okay?
Let me say this. I've had more disasters in this house that was built in 1982 than I ever would have fathomed in the first 2 years, because they did such a good job of fixing this bad boy up when I bought it. I had no idea what I was going to uncover, honestly. There has never been a moment, though, that I have regretted or felt like I bought the wrong house. I had to remind myself literally that whatever house I could have wound up in, I could have encountered issues. I don't know what those issues would have been. You know, this is an older house, 1982. They call that old. So this is an older house in Charlotte, and there are a lot of, I know, inward workings, mechanical problems, like plumbing, stuff like that. I'm okay with that. Because of where I'm located and the amount of yard I have, I already knew the first day I came in here, I'm going to be compromising. There's going to be some kind of compromise. And you just have to have realistic expectations. I think a lot of people find a realtor and they think the realtor is going to wave a magic wand. I don't know, like a credit wand, like credit, like that comes out the wand. And then whatever house you want, that comes out. And then whenever you get back to me, even if it's in the middle of the night after you were supposed to get back to me 5 hours ago, boom, you know, I got it ready for you. Like, no. So I think people's expectations are unrealistic. And you also need to talk to your clients when they come on board of how to manage their expectations.
And that's what I try to do. I do a formal buyer's presentation and a formal listing presentation with both my buyers and my sellers. And I let them know upfront how it's going to be. And I always have to preference this like, look, I am not saying this to deter you from the process, but I do want to make sure that I let you know how it is out here, okay? So that you're not, number one, shocked, or number two, you felt like I kept something back from you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we want to make sure we give them the information so that they can process correctly, because there's nothing worse than you take a client out, people, and the client wants to write an offer on the house before you ever get there, and when you pull up, there is a lot of people up and down the street waiting their turn to see the house.
Yeah.
It happens.
That sounds very anxiety provoking. Yeah.
That point.
That part.
So at that point, I begin to say, okay, just breathe. Okay, they've only given a limited amount of time for us to see the house. And yes, a lot of people want it. That's why we got out here early. We're going to wait our turn in line with our mask.
You know,
that we're safe when we go in.
I think the other part of things is people do not want to hear what they don't want to hear. And so that is something major, right? When you're looking to buy a house, there's specific things you just don't want to hear the realtor ever say. And if they do, it sends your mind spiraling out of control, because that's not what you want to hear. So you literally have to go through a grieving process. There's a process of grieving when you lose a house that you wanted. I mean, think of what could happen. You come home and your furniture is all over the place and you realize somebody has ransacked your house. Things are in disarray. It's not the way you left it. It's not the way you thought it was going to be when you walked in. You now have to regroup, right? You have to get yourself together and think of a game plan. And this is what people are going through sometimes day after day when they're going through the house buying process. But the thing that you want to remind the clients also is, hey, listen, part of this is a mind game, you know, and we want to make sure that your mind is in the right place when you're going through this game. It's like playing chess. Like, we have to make the right moves. So we can't do everything all at once. This is going to be a series of moves that we have to make, and we got to make the right ones. So I'm going to be here to help navigate and guide you through that. However, when I move, you need to move.
Just like that.
It was bound to happen one time. Just like that. You knew where I was going with that.
Yes.
Just like
I
that.
love it. But that's exactly correct in what you're saying.
I think that would be a clever way to, you know, line up expectations and set the expectation like, hey, you know, this means just as much to me as it means to you. But listen, when I move, you move. You know, and that would help us both.
It will. It absolutely will. And I really wanted to do this live to help out my real estate agents. And I keep saying real estate agents because everyone out here is not a realtor. In North Carolina, we all receive the broker's license. So we're real estate brokers, and that's our license type. But to have the term realtor, that's a separate designation. You pay more money, you take some extra classes, and everyone does not do that. Only the people who literally are a part of the MLS do, and there's a lot of people that are not. I mean, it's some 70-some thousand people across the state of North Carolina alone that are real estate brokers. But I'm out here, I want to make sure that my agents know ways like, what if we, and I know I hate the what if situations, but I'm just trying to bring about some clarity to some situations and things that I have encountered. And if another agent encounters that, how they can then bring it back in, right? So, I mean, because at one time I had one client, we had gone to see so many houses, we had put in so many offers. At some point, she says, I don't even need to see the house, just write the offer. Okay.
Understood.
And that happens actually more times than not. If you ever see a house that's listed on the market in what's called a coming soon status, that means it's getting ready to hit the market. It's not ready, active on the market for you to actually go and visit it, but it's in coming soon so you can visit it. Then all of a sudden, it's in pending, or it's in an under contract status. That means that that buyer put an offer in sight unseen. And so they've put the offer in sight unseen. So back to, now we're going to roll back to my question of that we've put in so many offers. Now they're saying, just do it, you know. And I felt like at that point, I wanted to encourage her, well, even if we're not seeing them, don't give up, you know. But I really want some kind of coping techniques maybe that I could tell them to use. I know you're saying anxiety and excitement, they're the same feeling. It's a mental thing, but if outside of breathing, is there anything they can do?
It's really a difficult situation because honestly, Nicole, if they're experiencing that kind of anxiety, I think you already know what I'm going to say. They need to find
a therapist.
Yeah, and it's okay to do that when you're going through your house buying process. It's perfectly okay to say, you know what, I'm going to look for a therapist for us since we're going through this house buying process and there are no houses available, because I see stress coming and we need to be able to handle that appropriately. I have to say, as a professional who is very ethically bound and driven, I would not encourage you to be giving advice consistently to your clients about anxiety even. I would honestly, because then we get into the fact that you see a foot doctor for throat doctor problems, right? Like, you are not a foot doctor. If I have a foot issue, I want to go to a foot doctor. If you're a throat doctor, I don't want to go to you, because although we're in the same realm, like, you can tell me borderline what I should be doing, you can't really help me with my problem, right? And so I do understand that when you're talking to them daily, there are obviously instances where you want to be able to at least say the right thing or something that's going to help them. And you don't want to just say, hey, talk to your therapist about that. Not me. So I know that. So I would say in those moments where your clients are extremely anxious, first you want to tell them to pull back. They need to pull back. They need to pull back. It's not calm down. Hey, you need to calm down. No, 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 no. That's very offensive. I hate when people tell me to calm down. First of all, you have no idea what my thought process is at this moment. And if I could control the anxiety, believe me, I would. So do not tell grown people to calm down. We don't want to do that. That really invalidates what they're feeling. So stay away from calm down, or you need to relax. Stay away from those statements. It's really rude. It's really rude. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to just empathize and normalize. You know what? This is stressful. This is way more stressful than it would have been last year. These are the times we're in. Now, this is what we can do. Give options, distinctive options. You can go home and wait on this. You could go home, make a list of other places that you find, send them to me so that you feel like wheels are turning in your control. Because people want control. And so if you give them options of things they can do to put their best foot forward, their mind is now set on their to-do list. And it's not set on what you ain't doing, right? Because let's keep it real. Because what they go home and do is they sit up watching TV, and 3 hours after they've spoken to you, they want to send you an email of like, about this and this and this. Just because they don't have a to-do. Yeah.
3 minutes.
It's because they don't have a to-do list. Okay? So they need something to work on. So give them something to work on. You know what? We've run into a bump in the road. This is what I need you to do. I need you to make a list of the next 5 or 6 places that you all will be interested in seeing. Make sure they're in the realm of what you feel like you have to have. And then you need to give yourself room to move. Right? In case there are some things, hey, if it's where you want it to be, it's near the children's school and the kitchen is not finished, hey, during these times, this is what you're running up against. The option is to keep looking or to put in an offer. Those are your options. If we want to keep looking, then go home and make a list, send me the list by morning, and let's get on it. Give them something to do. Give them some damn homework.
80-20 rule, I tell you. Jackie is hitting it without even saying it.
Give them something to do. Oh, your clients are bothering you? Give them some homework.
My clients never bother me.
Of course not. What a bad word. Clients are consistently initiating communication. Okay, give them something to do.
Okay, all right. I will remember that if that happens to me.
Give them something to do.
I have the best clients in the world. Okay.
I'm sure you do now. Even if you didn't, we would say it on this live.
I do have the best clients. I do. They do not stress me out. Like, agents talk. I want y'all to know that agents talk. Now, we don't use names. We'll never use a name, but we share stories. Okay. Girl, let me tell you what happened today. Okay. You know, and we share stories because that's our outlet with each other. Okay. But I don't always have stories to share. Mm-hmm. Just don't. Like, people they're very calm, they're very astute, they don't, I really don't encounter too many people who have anxiety. Now, when we're at offer, let's see, probably 8, 9, 10, 11, when we're getting up into those kind of numbers, then yeah, they start being like, Nicole, you sure you know what you're doing? It's not really anxiety, it's a doubt that they have in my negotiation skills and ability for me to get this house for them. So, because I do have a 2 to 3 average, which I'm very proud of. It just doesn't drag on. If you listen and do right, up, except for a certain price point now. And I try to preference that up front during that buyer's presentation and letting them know that, like, hey, listen, this is where we're at. If your price point is below blank, it's going to get harder. And the lower we go, the harder it will be.
I think realtors and realtors and real estate brokers, I want to use the right realtors, use the right language. First of all, you have to look at the psychodynamics of what's going on in your field. The relationship between you and the client is already, forgive me for phrasing it this way, it's already set up to fail. And what I mean by that is your profession, you know, emotionally, when it comes to the emotional stability and the wherever the relationship is going to be, it's kind of set up to fail unless you have a great person working with the client who is adamant about making sure the things happen the way they're supposed to, and then make sure they communicate effectively so that when things don't happen, the client doesn't feel left out. And when I say set up to fail in your field, what I'm saying is, how many other fields are there where you literally have to hire someone to do something you know you can't do for yourself and your future relies on it? I mean, think about it. And so I'm literally processing that while I'm sitting here like, all right, wait a minute. If I tell somebody they may want to do this and then they don't do it, I'm like, hey, I told you not to do that. I mean, my stuff works different, right? But when you look at real estate, when people are buying houses, they're thinking about their family. They've already projected the next 10 years in the place that they tell you they want. So there's way more stress and weight that comes along with what you have to do, and the emotions that you have to deal with on the back end. When people don't get what they want, it's your fault. It's going to be your fault. That's how they're going to see it.
It's always the real estate agent's fault. Always.
But it's not always the real estate agent's fault. We know that. Sometimes it's the lazy client's fault. Now, you can't say that. You can smile at it, though. But I can say it. Sometimes it's the client being lazy and just assuming things are going to fall into place miraculously. And that does not happen when they don't do their part.
Right. Faith without works is dead.
That's
Got to do your part, people. Got to do your part. Yes. So from time to time, I do these lives. I'm just going to recap for the audience just a little bit. I do these lives, and I try to give you all good info, good content, so that you can take this and move forward, and the process can be, even if you're not working with me, just a little bit easier. And so when I had a client say to me, yo, this is getting to be too much, and I didn't know what to say back, I said, you know what, let me get a therapist on one of these lives to talk to the people. Okay.
You know, let me interject, Nicole. So I like what you said as far as the client saying, this is getting to be too much. What we have to do is pull the conversation away from just real estate and deal with the idea that if there's anything in your life or any life domain, okay, that means any area of your life, any major area of your life, planning ahead for the future, school, work, relationship, whatever, those are major life domains, food, shelter, whatnot. Whenever you step back and say to yourself, this is too much, it's absolutely time to talk to somebody who is a mental health professional, because it is our job to help the too much become something that you can cope with. And that is all. It is not a realtor's job, the banker's job, the financial analyst. It's not anybody else's job, your parents' job, no one, to help you through that process clinically. But we can. You know, we can help you figure out what's really bothering you. Your realtor can't do that. And then how you got to the point to be stressed about what is stressing you on the surface. And so I just want to put emphasis on that. Just like people seem to go to a therapist when they're in between jobs or they don't know what direction their life is going. Hire a therapist when you start the house buying process. You know that's going to be at least several weeks. Go to a therapist once a week for a little bit. Talk it out. Because I know your spouse doesn't want to catch the break of that stress either. I got to say it, okay? Okay? Because some of my clients, by the first 5 minutes, I'm already taking a leave, right? So I'm thinking, if I'm getting this, if I'm catching this, I wonder what your spouse is catching. And you just want to make sure that you jump ahead of those things and not wait till the last minute.
Yeah. We said earlier, we said it jokingly, but we were saying, you know, it's always the real estate agent's fault. It's always the realtor's fault. And clients will literally go off on real estate agents if their offer is not accepted. They will go off on real estate agent if the closing gets pushed back. If it just any little thing that happens in the transaction that doesn't go as perfectly as it should, you know, they'll get upset with the real estate agent and they will begin to literally go off on the real estate agent. what is something that the real estate agent can do to not internalize that? See
Okay.
a therapist?
See,
Besides see a
no,
therapist, we know
I'm
that
not.
part.
First of all, real estate agents, hire a therapist. You need it. Please. All right. So the thing is, as you know, Nicole, you have to also learn how to deal with things coming at you that are unconventional. Okay. And so in reality, it would be good to hire a therapist just to learn how to deal with that type of backlash. Okay. And to understand where it's coming from and what to say, and then how to help the client move. I'm going to be honest with you. In no area of your life should you find yourself getting into banter with anyone over the phone over a long period of time. Okay, so just think about that. I believe it's perfectly acceptable and respectful to yourselves to exit the conversation in a respectful way, and then to give the idea of when we can revisit. Like, hey, you know what? I totally get it. Emotions are very high right now. I want to give you some time to process this. Boop. That is the efficient, effective, respectful, and immediate way to dead that. You've got to do that, because what you don't want to find yourself is in a situation where you're rolling out the red carpet to be disrespected, because also that says a lot about your business and how you conduct it, the way you allow people to treat you. Okay. And so we don't want to do that, because in my opinion, the self-respect aspect of it, that could have you going home as a realtor and crying yourself to sleep. Dealing with that can make all kind of unresolved stuff from childhood come up. People talking to you like that. That's trauma. We don't want to put ourselves in a position to be emotionally abused or verbally abused by our clients. Okay? You have clients, I have clients. I'll tell you what I'm not going to do is tolerate that. Earlier on in my career, when I didn't have as much leeway, I didn't have as much experience, I was struggling to figure out how to.
I think we might have lost Miss Jackie. So we're gonna see if we can get her back. See if we can get Miss Jackie back. She was right in the middle of a good thought too. Good thought. Let's see. There we go. We got you back. Yay.
Girl, I was on a roll, girl.
I said she was in the middle of a good thought too.
I was getting that. I was like, what happened? Okay, so you get what I'm saying. Get the point.
Right. You were basically telling us that we can't, put ourselves in a position to allow people to abuse us verbally, who happen to be our clients, and not just people who happen to be our clients, but anybody in any area of your life. You want to be able to defuse the situation to the point where you revisit it later in a calm, neutral tone.
Yeah, Nicole, you also want to reiterate if you have to go there, right? And I'm talking about blatant disrespect, like somebody actually finding themselves cussing at you or hollering on the phone. You don't want to say it in that moment. You want to say it when it's revisited. Hey, listen, I just wanted to bring something to your attention. This process can be very stressful at times, and this might not have been the climax of the stress. Mm-hmm. And so we want to make sure we're prepared for our interactions with stress coming up. And in order to best prepare ourselves, I'm sorry, y'all, I gotta, this is itching. My hair has grown so much, it's starting to itch. It's in my eye. Okay, so listen, we just want to, this is so serious. So we want to tell the client, listen, we want to better prepare ourselves. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that we're on the same level with respect. And I know that you whatever you want to say, you pride yourself on conducting your business this way. I totally get it. I want to do the same thing. But with these heightened emotions that are coming, we're just on the brink, on the cusp of it. We want to make sure that we conduct ourselves with a certain level of respect towards each other moving forward. I'm going to let you know what I need. I want you to communicate your needs to me, and we'll make it happen. That is a very That is direct but subliminal way of saying you need to calm down a little bit when we talk, okay? And get your thoughts together and fully process that before you speak to me. Because I'm helping you. I'm here for you. But people seem to think the realtor literally works for them, almost like a slave. And so we need to get out of that mindset.
Lost you again. Yes.
My son is calling me. You know he's going to call back over and over. You know that. You know he did that with Anthony Hamilton. When I was on with Anthony Hamilton, still calling.
Well, Miss Jackie, we do understand the life of a single parent, so if you need to take a break.
I just want to make sure I answered your questions.
You did. There are plenty more.
Oh, you have plenty more?
We have an hour show.
Okay. I'm ready. Okay.
Just want to make sure you can make it to the end, girl.
Just like that. Just talk to your clients just like that. Okay? No one can get offended.
Yeah. And I also want to tell people, or have you tell people, how it's not also what you say, but how you say it when you're talking to your clients as well. When you get ready to deliver the bad news that yet again, their offer was not accepted. You know, we have to make sure that we're careful in how we do that. A lot of agents get away from the tone of telling their clients and just send an email. Like, oh, I know she's going to be upset. Let me just type this email and send.
Because
call me to discuss.
Yeah, I don't want to be in your position. I mean, that's very difficult with people who are difficult. And then people who have heightened emotions and that they're not coping properly. So when it comes to, you said you want to know what to tell people, like how to let them down.
No, I said just letting people know it's not so much in what you're saying, but how you're saying it.
How you're saying it.
That can kind of, I don't want to say set a person off, but, you know, push them right over the edge.
I think what I always tell you and what I talk about very often in whatever I do is that you have to give people a cushion to fall back on. You have to do this. You have to do this with everything. All right. You're breaking up with somebody. You got to give them a cushion first. Look, I just love you so much. I really do. You just got to start out that way. It just feels better. It just feels better. So when you're going through the house buying process and then you've got to let the buyer know, listen, your offer wasn't accepted. We don't want to just go right into it. All right. You don't want to call somebody and say, hey, I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time, but I just want to let you know the offer wasn't accepted. No, there has to be a cushion before that. So you may want to say, listen, I appreciate you getting me all the documents in the timely manner in which I asked you to. However, on the other end, there were other things going on. There were wheels turning that we didn't know about, and that often happens. So someone else got the house. So now what I need you to do is help me help you to move forward in this process. And I need us to start from square one and just get out there and get going. Because number one, you're giving them a cushion to fall back on. Number two, you're taking the responsibility off you, which is the case in many situations, and putting it back on whoever's issue it was. That happened behind a closed door. Y'all were not behind that closed door when that happened, right? So that's number two. And then number three, you're giving them the cushion of this is how we move forward. And you're pushing them out of the blocks, saying, let's go. You're not giving them time to sulk in it. You're not giving them time to get the words together to want to curse you out. You've already given them the game plan. If somebody's giving you the game plan, what you gonna do? The thing is, no, I hear you. And you're totally correct. But even with all that, we're losing moments while we're crying over the spilled milk. So let's just move forward. There's other stuff out there for you. I think when you say we and let's go, vámonos. I mean, when you put it together, you know, who doesn't want that? It's like the coach saying, all right, we had a bad inning. Let's start over. Make it a we thing and not a you thing.
Yeah, I always speak in terms of we. So that's a good thing that you said that, so that other agents can hear that. Always communicate in terms of we. So we placed our offer in and we were notified. It's always we. When something is wrong, all right, so we made a mistake here, and this is what we did wrong. And now we can move forward because we know now what we did wrong. We're not going to do that again in the future. And that's one of the reasons why with offers, I always ask the listing agent for feedback, because it helps when you're delivering the bad news to your client. Like, hey, I got feedback and they said that, you know, this is the deal. The other person offered $20,000 in due diligence. We can't compete with that, girl.
You know, I'm thinking that it might also be helpful for individuals in your field to get away from good news versus bad news. That really does something to the psyche. So even when you're using those terms, all right, so listen, we're going to hope for good news, but if we get any bad, I mean, just the word bad, just think about when you hear it, you know what I mean? Like what that does to you. I don't want no bad news. Bad what? Bad smell? Bad what? You know, like bad boy, bad smell. You know what I'm saying? Like that word is very strong. So we want to just say, these are the unforeseen things. You know, there are some things that we're planning, but we have to be prepared for unforeseen things. We have to be prepared for unexpected things. And so let's get prepared for that. We already know there's unexpected things coming to us. We don't project this fantasy and it just happens while we're sleeping. You know, it either turns out the way we envision or it's not the way we envision. So let's get the idea of what our vision was and move forward with it so that we can find something that falls into that. But I think good and bad are words we got to get away from. I don't even use them in therapy because it does something to the psyche that you can't control.
Right, exactly. So
they will
see that tidbit?
They will see anything except the news they want as bad. In reality, it's not. It's just unexpected.
Right. So this is why we always want to ensure that we got feedback on, could we have done anything better? Okay. A lot of times, I once had a girl who I said, well, in your offer, you know, I highly recommend this due diligence fee and this much for earnest money. And she said, well, I just want to do $100. Now someone tried to call me, sorry. So she said, I just want to do $100 due diligence and $100 earnest money. And I said, well, you know, typically you would do a combination of about 1% of the purchase price. Mm-hmm. And she said, I understand. You told me that. This is what I would like to do. Okay, no problem. I write the offer up. Of course, she did not win out, but I asked the agent for feedback, and I sent it to her, straightforward, to her, so she wouldn't, number one, think I was changing anything, but I forwarded it. And the feedback was, oh, my seller did not think that you were serious, so we didn't even consider your offer. We went with someone else. Okay. And so your agents are telling you all things for a reason. They're the ones out here day in, day out with the numerous buyers, working with the numerous sellers, going through the 1,800 showings to get the 1,200 offers to ensure that somebody gets a house at the end. So when they're giving you all the advice, they're not telling you so that you can lose. They're trying to tell you so that you can prayerfully win out. But again, it's just like we said at the beginning, faith without works is dead. You can't claim this house. You can't say that this house is yours. You can't have the mindset. You can't envision it. You can't pray for it, but then don't do what you need to do to make it yours. That was a prime example of what we were talking about earlier in the broadcast. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so, Miss Jackie, it has been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. You know I love to see you.
Yes. And y'all, Miss Jackie is an author as well.
and she has wrote a couple of books. She's out here doing it in this industry of mental health.
I'm doing what I can. Thank you.
Changing lives one person at one
I-
mind at a time.
I like that.
Yes.
I need to get a sticker made for my vehicle.
That would be so cute too. Yes.
One mind at a time.
One mind at a time.
I appreciate you having me. I think mental health is a conversation that you can bring into play in any realm of or any profession, really, and really realm of life. So whenever you want to have me on to talk about anything like this, I'd be glad to do that with you. And if anybody has questions, you can let me know. If there's any questions that I can answer, just let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. I just what you were saying just reminded me that I was out showing a client earlier this evening, and he asked, he said, "Does it ever get tough for the real estate agent?" I said, "It does. It does." I said, "But thankfully, I have someone to talk to. I actually have several someones to talk to." Okay, but we ain't talking about me. Okay.
I'm turning down my comments in my head. I'm saving them for when I call you later.
The bottom line, people, is we're just here to help you. We're here to give you the information. We're here to make this a process, whether you're buying or you're selling, okay, easier for you to do that in any market. And that's the thing, in any market. And this is probably, I thought when I came into the industry 9 years ago that the market was the worst that it could get, because we were seeing the times of foreclosures. We were seeing the times of short sales. And the company that I was with, literally, if we did not do a shift and get into that short sale realm of processing short sales, we would have been left behind the 8 ball. And so now we're now in a market where interest rates are literally at an all-time low. By the way, for those that have not refinanced, you might want to go ahead and take care of that, okay? Because interest rates are now starting to creep back up. That was a tidbit for y'all, okay? But with interest rates as low as they are, it just, buyers are like, oh, shoot, I got to buy now. Because last year, my qualification, because the interest rate was so high, which down payment assistance, let me just touch on that for a second, okay? Because people say with down payment assistance, don't leave any money on the table, okay? But down payment assistance isn't always set up to help you, okay? Because with down payment assistance, you're paying a higher interest rate to get this supposedly free money, and now you have to stay in your house a certain amount of time or you have to pay it back. So you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by not just taking the time to save the money or finding a good family member that will let you, that will give you the gift of gift funds, because you can use gift funds in a purchase. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. And I always want to make sure I say that in every broadcast, because I get a lot of people that come to me and they want down payment assistance, okay? But down payment assistance with interest rates so low, for example, let's just say the interest rate is 3% normal. Down payment assistance might be 4%. And if you just do the math on that, that's like $200 difference right there. Okay. Now take $200 and times it by 15 years to Japan. However many months 15 years ends up being. I don't have my calculator, so I can't really figure it out right now. But that's how much you pay.
12. Somebody in the comments, 15 times 12. We're not the only ones who don't know it.
The key is you will have paid more money over time for that higher interest rate than you would have had you not had that lump sum payment, because the lump sum payment is less than what you paid back over time. So just remember that, people. Jackie, thank you for letting me talk that through right there without that interruption, honey. Yes, you are really, really rocking it tonight. I'm loving the hair. I'm loving this color.
I just got my nails done too.
Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that.
Every grown woman needs a little bit of leopard in her life.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm just plain Jane, honey. Plain
well,
Jane.
you have it in other places. We know that.
Yes.
Like that red leopard top you have. Don't you have a red leopard top?
I do, and I've probably worn it 2 times
Okay.
because it is very bright.
I love it.
Thank you. But Jackie, tell the people how they can get in touch with you.
You can find me on Instagram. It's Jackie, Jackee, Curr, Curr. That's on Instagram. And then I have a website, JacquelineCurrie.org. And you can find all things Jacqueline Currie on JacquelineCurrie.org.
Oh, you also have a YouTube page, right?
I do.
What's your YouTube
know
page?
me. You better know me, girl. My YouTube, just look up Jackie Currie on YouTube. Jackie Currie. And you will find me.
Yes, yes, yes. These lives get downloaded every week and they get uploaded to my YouTube page. So you guys can always go to my YouTube page to see any of the past videos. Jacqueline, again, want to just thank you for your time tonight. We really appreciate it. You gave us a lot of tidbits to help us navigate, tidbits that we can help our clients to navigate. Again, whether you're buying or selling, this industry is ever changing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So reach out to me or find an agent in your area that you trust, and make sure that you've got some representation, someone who is on your side looking out for your best interests throughout the home buying and selling processes. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our time. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.